Marissa Norcross.
And I'm Dave Freund, and this is The Next Page. Marissa, how are you today?
I am good, feeling festive. How about you?
You should be, because we're festive today. Christmas is just a couple days away.
I know, it's flying. The season is flying by.
It is.
It feels like it was really long because I think I started my shopping really early because of supply chain reasons. But at the same time, it feels like it's just really speeding up at the end, which I think is how time always goes.
It does. It does. And, you know, today I don't expect our podcast to be long. My post was fairly short today. But I was in this overly festive mood as I was writing that. And so now as we're recording it, I'm sitting here and I have my mistletoe candle from the Yankee Candle Company burning next to me here. I just finished a Christmas tree cutout cookie with white frosting and sprinkles on it. It's dear friends of ours. My wife makes things and his wife makes things. And so yesterday I dropped something off and she was waiting with a plate of cookies, and I literally ate one of them in the car as I was driving away.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season. So I'm ready for this. But what I want to talk about, the topic of today is really traditions, but I thought maybe we'd just start with memories. Do you have any like special memories around the holidays?
I definitely do. I have a lot of them, and I think it's because I have so many cousins that most of them involve my cousins. But one that doesn't involve my cousins is I remember as kids that we would always, after we'd go to Christmas Eve Mass, and of course it would be dark when we left. It'd probably be dark when we got there, given the time of year. And between Mass and going to my grandmother's house to celebrate with the cousins, we would drive around a few neighborhoods nearby, the same neighborhoods every time, and just look at their Christmas lights. And it was, even as we got older, it was just like so special. Like, my dad, you know, we wouldn't talk about it, but every time we'd get in the car after Mass, my dad would say, "Okay, we're going to go look at the lights." And no matter how old we got, like no one ever complained, and that's great. And we still did it, and that was one of my favorite memories. Sure.
You know, I've always said our church does not have a Christmas Eve service. We have a Christmas morning service. Probably because we're very European, and a lot of the Europeans exchanged gifts on Christmas Eve. And so, you know, we always did that. We exchanged gifts on Christmas Eve. It was never a Christmas morning thing. Christmas morning was always going to church. And I've always wished, wouldn't it be great if we had a Christmas, like a midnight service, and I'd probably be the only one there, so nobody else ever thought it was a good idea. But two memories really stuck out at me as I was, and again, I could go on for days with amazing Christmas memories. One of the ones that I wrote about in my post was that our church was very big on caroling. And when I was younger, we would carol Friday evening, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and then there'd usually be like a choir practice Sunday night for the Christmas program when the choir would sing. And I had no voice by the time I got to Sunday night because I was just sung out. But it was just it was a great memory. But the two that are kind of outstanding for me, one of them I just was thinking about yesterday. When I was late teens, somebody had the idea that we should get permission to take our brass instruments and do Christmas carols downtown. So we made some phone calls, and sure enough, there was no problem with us doing it. And so I remember this one Saturday, because my dad picked up my buddies and I, because we had enough brass players to have our own brass ensemble in our church. And so we were standing on the street corner of Salina Street, and I'm going to guess maybe Fayette, maybe Water Street. And we would play, and it was okay when we were playing, but as soon as we stopped, it was so cold that our valves would freeze. So we'd have to duck into one of the stores to get our valves to warm up and start moving again. And it was a lot of fun. The second memory was my parents had moved away they had bought a house in Westvale, And it seemed like that year, all my brother came home, my sister came home and brought their kids. Like even the ones that had been married just seemed to come back to Syracuse that Christmas. And my dad said, no, it might have been a year before that. But anyways, the event is still the same. We decided to go to Skinny Atlas to go Christmas caroling as a family.
Oh, wow.
And so it was while they still lived in Otisco. So we go to Skinny Atlas as a family. And I have to admit, when my siblings and their spouses get together and my older nieces and nephews, it's a pretty good choir. I mean, so we were in the village of Skinny Atlas, just singing as we walked down the street, and it started to snow, those giant lake effect snowflakes. I mean, that we were just literally covered. We looked like snow people because every part of us was just coated with these, because it was a little bit warmer snow, but it was still lake effect. It was so much fun. And as a family, we all talk about it. We talk about what that was like, because my kids were old enough to be singing with us. It was great.
That's so nice.
And those are things that now, when we just went caroling this past weekend with our church, my grandkids doing it, and seeing the ones that can read now learning these songs. The rest of us know it by heart because we sang them for our whole life. But those traditions really help families. So I know in my post, I talked about there were 5 things that traditions do for families. And I found this on an article put out by an organization called Very Well Family. And one of the things that they said was that traditions make memories for families that last a lifetime. So if you want your memories to last, build them around a tradition. And a tradition is not something that you do routinely. It's something that has to happen on a rare occasion, a special holiday, that type of thing. They provide children a sense of security by providing community. They connect our kids to the greater family. They give family members a strong sense of belonging. They help pass on family values, which I thought was a really great one, including cultural and religious heritage. And they keep generations connected and give them a family history to share. All of my mom and dad's offspring share that memory of caroling in Skinny Atlas. And it was neat, too, to see the reaction on the shopkeepers.
Yeah.
As they who is singing out there? This isn't the Dickens.
This isn't the Dickens,
stopped
right.
at 4. What happened? And it was just a family, which was really cool. So I know you've been highly intentional about trying to build some traditions in for your family. So what have you been thinking about?
Yeah, it's something, I come from like I said, I have a lot of cousins. I have a fairly large family, and my husband has a really small family. So when we got married, we kind of had to start creating our own traditions and decide, pick and choose and decide what we were going to do. And it's been really special to, have our own little family now and to kind of have those traditions together, especially now as the girls are getting older, and both of them are kind of understand the idea of traditions more. And I think they're still forming. We're still kind of fine tuning the tradition, but we've kind of taken a slower approach to some of our holidays, which is more in line with my husband's family traditions, and then kind of changing up a little bit as the years go on. Like Christmas cookie decorating is a little bit easier now than it was when I had a newborn and a 2.5-year-old. So just, we've been kind of experimenting, which is a little bit unsettling at first, trying to build new traditions, because I think you don't realize it when you're a kid. You're like, oh, these are the traditions. And now it's to shake things up a little bit. So it's kind of fun. But now the girls remember, like this year, Isla said, are we going to have spaghetti and meatballs again on Christmas Eve? And are we going to dance to Christmas music and make our cookies again? So she's starting to realize those things. And so we're kind of in this place where we're keeping some of the old and starting some of the new. And which is a complete juxtaposition to where you are, right? You have very settled traditions already, which I think are really special. So I'm kind of in that first step, whereas you're, I guess, in that phase ahead.
Well, yeah, and I have to say this, that when my wife and I got married, we began to build, yes, we kept some of the traditions that the family had, but the traditions that we kept that were really anchored in that I did growing up were really those traditions that were based around our faith community. You know, the caroling, the events that take place at our church at Christmas. But I think it wasn't long, maybe within the first 10 years of my wife and I getting married, where instead of going to my parents for Christmas, it was coming to our house. They would come here. My siblings had moved away. And a lot of times my parents came to our house, let's say on Christmas Eve. And so I don't want people to think that you don't become a prisoner to traditions.
Right.
Traditions have to serve a purpose. They're very, very healthy. They give our kids a sense of identity. They bind a family together. But you can't become a prisoner to traditions because all of a sudden, or maybe a slave to traditions might be a better word, because then you miss the whole point, you know, and the kids are like, do we have to do this again? You know, it needs to be something that is really spontaneous, not spontaneous, something that draws the group together and very enjoyable. So one of the traditions that we started doing, I can't remember when, many, many years ago already, is Christmas Eve, because we open our gifts on Christmas Eve. Our dinner, our meal for Christmas Eve is hors d'oeuvres. And we will fill the kitchen area with hors d'oeuvres, because now with a bunch of married kids, everybody has their specialty. They have their favorites, and then they bring it. So those are the kind of things that I think you need to think about. Just if people want some ideas, I found some more ideas for holiday traditions. This is one that I would never fall into myself, but buying everybody a new set of pajamas. Don't need to see me in pajamas. Not going to happen.
We're doing that.
Are you? Good.
Well, you know what? That is funny. That is one of my sister-in-law, my brother's wife. That is one of her traditions. And so when they got married, we don't do it with our huge extended family, but it kind of started when they got married. And it's one of the things my kids really love. So
good.
I have them. I have that they will be surprised with them, and we will be in the matching family jammies. Probably wearing them to Lights on the Lake.
Sounds good. Hopefully there won't be any car trouble. Just kidding. But, you know, some families do it. For me, you know what? We never did it when I was young. We didn't do it with my kids when they were young, so it just wasn't something. Puzzles and board games that are played with or put together on the holiday. Watching seasonal movies. Cooking a meal together. Get hot chocolate and watch a community tree lighting ceremony. I wonder if we'll ever get back to when we can have in-person.
We just did that. We actually did that. Our school community did that a couple weeks ago. And there was hot chocolate and cookies and the tree lighting. And
that's awesome.
Caroling by the kids, which was lovely. And it was really nice.
This is one that you used to do with your family. Tour your community to look at lights and displays. I was listening to a marriage podcast that I really like. And the couple, they've been doing this podcast for like over 11 or 12 years.
Wow.
Every week. They're more faithful than we were.
Yeah.
We just haven't been doing it long enough. I guess we'll still be that faithful. Still around doing it. I might not be around by then. But anyways. So they have a neighborhood or a road, Christmas card lane or something like that. And it's like like if you buy into that neighborhood, you better plan on decorating your house to look like a Christmas card.
Part of the HOA.
You got it. I thought, but that would be really cool. Host a family or neighborhood cookie exchange. Here's one I like. Assemble care packages for family members who are away during the holiday.
That's really
Especially
nice.
if people are in the military or can't get home from school, whatever. Write heartfelt letters to family members who can't spend time with you during the holiday. Host a white elephant gift exchange. We did this once when my family and my extended family met in Florida for Christmas. It got a little intense.
Yeah.
Because there were some really nice gifts, and there were like some strategery going on to try to get the best thing. Attend a holiday performance or concert. We did that. already. Get a new piece of holiday-related decor, like a Christmas ornament.
Yeah, I know.
Or make one.
People do that with like the Christmas villages. I have a friend who does that. Yeah.
I think that would be... I never thought about wanting a Christmas village, but I thought about it this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I might have to... I should get some clearance from my wife before I start creating something else that's going to take up space. You should build your own and model it after Skinny Atlas. Oh.
And yes, I think that you should do that.
That would be cool. I got to think about that one though, because my wife's going to say another hobby.
I know, right?
I have way, way, way too many special interests. So, but the point of this episode was just I want our listeners thinking about their best memories.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the takeaways from the beginning of the show here was that, when you and I both shared our memories, they weren't like big, fancy, extravagant things. They weren't like, oh, our annual trip to the chateau. It was...
No, it wasn't.
They're like...
Not at all.
And even the examples you shared, they're accessible. And, I think it's just kind of like getting going and seeing what sticks.
Yes. We tried to do something once. I am not, while my parents, my mom was born in Europe, we don't have as much of the European influence in terms of what Christmas is like. In Germany and Switzerland, Advent is huge.
Right.
And it's not here. And I remember thinking, well, that would be really nice. And I actually built a frame for an Advent wreath, so that I could have the proper candles and things. And for a lot of years, I tried doing that. I wanted to make that a tradition because I thought that would be a really neat Sunday evening tradition for the Sundays of Advent, and it never worked. It never stuck. And it was like, hurry up, get the wreath before, the kids go to bed.
Yeah, and that's the sign it's time to drop the tradition, when it becomes like a chore.
Yes, when it's a chore, drop it, because it's not serving the purpose anymore. And it doesn't need to cost money. It just needs to involve enjoyment and family. So I think that's about it.
Awesome.
Did I miss anything?
No, I think, this was really helpful for me even to talk through as, a younger person who's working through the traditions. And I think, just keeping in mind your values as you build these. And like you just said, once it becomes, a chore or something you aren't enjoying anymore, to let go of it.
Yeah. Yep. Let it go. Because it's not serving the purpose anymore.
Yeah. The season it's such a short period of time, is that you don't want to spend it stressed or, worried or anxious.
Right. Exactly.
Life's too short. And the season is shorter.
Life's too short. The season, and this is supposed to be a season of joy and happiness. So I really want to wish all of our listeners a very blessed Christmas, a prosperous New Year, a happy holiday. And I hope you and your family do the same.
Thank you. You too.
So with that, I'm Dave Freund.
I'm Marisa Norcross.
This was The Next Page.